Things are shifting fast this NBA offseason. With the draft now complete, we move on to free agency where the Lakers have a few players that have some big decisions to make. D'Angelo Russell, in particular, has a massive decision to make that can change everything for the Lakers. And there's starting to be some names come to light in the coaching search for assistant coaches for JJ Redick's staff. What's good, y'all, and welcome to another Lakers Digest video. I'm your host, Okechi Apakama, and before we get into everything we have for you for today's video, guys, I just want to bring your attention to something. There is 70% of you guys who have recently watched our videos who are not subscribed to the channel just yet. And if you guys want more of those Laker updates, especially with free agency coming in the next couple of days, you guys are going to make sure you are subscribed to Lakers Digest. Now, with that out of the way, let's hop straight into the topics we have for you today, as D'Angelo Russell could opt in. So, we have been hearing a lot about D'Angelo Russell, and that was mostly because of the great showing he had in the second half of the season, where he became the league franchise leader in three-pointers made in a single season for the Lakers, and then played spectacular basketball, was one of their best plus-minus guys. But because of that, a lot of people were wondering that D'Angelo Russell was going to opt out and test the market. However, things could have changed on that front. So now it's being more widely reported that D'Angelo Russell is now considered more likely to exercise his $18.7 million player option and then stay with the Los Angeles Lakers. And it was also reported earlier that Brian Windhorst on ESPN said this today. So he said, "To be honest with you, I don't have a great feel for what is going on or what is going to be, but I thought maybe a month ago D'Angelo Russell would opt out. Now I think there's a strong chance that he'll opt in because the market isn't looking so great right now. We can talk about it later, but I'm kind of leading that direction." So D'Angelo Russell opting in is definitely a shift for the Los Angeles Lakers because this really changes things and how they overlook their offseason, because what happens with him can really affect the whole rest of the roster, as obviously the biggest domino is LeBron James, but we're all expecting him to re-sign at some point, just figuring out what the number is and how many years. But D'Angelo Russell is the next domino, and that's mostly because if he were to opt in, the Lakers could trade him, and that is probably the best way the Lakers could make changes to this roster with his contract, his expiring contract, which will be $18.7 million. And then, so D'Angelo Russell opting into his contract is kind of a testament to the market and just the new CBA in general and some of the new rules that is kind of hard to understand, especially that first and second apron stuff with the CBA. And that's really changing how teams really look this offseason, especially if you're a team that does not have cap space. It is very hard to really improve on your team through free agency and through that just because of this first and separate apron rules. So when it comes to the Lakers, they probably won't be around that second apron. That's more for teams that are at the higher ends of the salary cap. So think teams like the Golden State Warriors, LA Clippers, and the Phoenix Suns. But for the Lakers, they're around that first apron area. That, I mean, having two max contracts will get you there. And then they have a bunch of mid-level value contracts, guys like Austin Reaves, guys like Rui Hachimura, guys like Gabe Vincent, all kind of taking up money in that area. So they're hovering around that first apron area, and that kind of restricts the Lakers on how they want to build out this team, because if D'Angelo Russell were to opt out, then the Lakers will have a hard time really bringing somebody new in, especially at that contract value, because they would only have a mid-level exception, which is around $12 million that they could spend on a player, and that's only depending on what happens with LeBron James and even Max Christie's contract as well. So if that's what would happen if you were to opt out. But if you were to opt in, which would probably be more of a viable solution for the Lakers, is if you were to opt in, then the Lakers would have the opportunity to possibly trade him. And it was recently reported just like a few hours ago that DeJounte Murray was traded, so that could have been one of the trade pieces. But there could be other names that come to light, especially here in this ever-growing trade market. And then we'll see what happens with some of the other players and the other dominoes to fall, because that will affect things as well. So if D'Angelo Russell were to opt in, then they can possibly trade him or keep him for next season and see what goes on, because he had a spectacular season in the second half of the season, due in large part because of his three-point shot making and how he was able to stretch the floor on that side of the ball. And then JJ Redick's offense kind of looks like it could be more threes in general, and having a guy like D'Angelo Russell would be majorly beneficial to the team offensively, because we already know we can do on that side of the ball. And then if they're able to shore up their defense a little bit, get Vando back healthy, get Gabe Vincent in there healthy, maybe you've got something in terms of a better team that you did last season. So maybe that could be the thinking there, but that all is dependent on what happens with D'Angelo Russell. He has, I think, until 5 p.m. on Saturday night to make that decision. So we'll see what happens with D'Angelo Russell on that front. But there's some other news today as we got some more of some names surfacing for Redick's staff. So JJ Redick has been building the staff. They didn't have that full staff with them during the draft, as there was just mostly the Lakers scouting team along with Pelinka and Redick helping to make those decisions. But as far as Redick's staff, some names are starting to surface here, and Dave McMenamin earlier put out a name. So the Lakers have expressed interest in Dwayne Casey joining JJ Redick's staff as assistant coach. Sources told ESPN Casey has been in coaching nearly 30 years, including head coaching jobs in Minnesota, Toronto, and Detroit. He was also the 2018 Coach of the Year and is currently a front office associate from the Pistons. So that could be a name that we haven't heard too much about. Dwayne Casey being a guy to join JJ Redick's staff. He has the coaching experience, has been around the league for quite some time, so he knows what to do in that main chair. So he can be a big help to a guy like JJ Redick, who's getting his bearings in his first season for the Los Angeles Lakers. And then there was another name that Mark Stein put out along with Dwayne Casey. And so this is per Mark Stein that the Lakers have pursued former head coach Dwayne Casey and Jacques Vaughn to joining JJ Redick's staff for the 2024-2025 season. The Lakers have been aiming high to surround Redick with experienced coaches even before he was formally hired. Stern reported last month that Sam Cassell, James Borrego, and Jared Dudley were all candidates Lakers were looking as potential assistants. Cassell and Borrego were among the coaches the Lakers interviewed during the head coaching search. So there's a couple of more names there. Jacques Vaughn, definitely an interesting name. I know him and Redick has had conversations, I believe, on their podcast. And then he is the former head coach of the Magic and then also the former head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. So that is another guy that could be another added value member to Redick's staff because he's a guy with coaching experience. And then also he got along pretty well with his players during those couple of years. Obviously, that tumultuous season, how it ended in Brooklyn, ended up him being the scapegoat. That's why he ended up out of that team. But with the Lakers here, he does have a chance to really grow something and start something new of what they're trying to do with JJ Redick's staff there. And then there was also a couple of other names like James Borrego, who earlier today took his name out of contention for the Detroit Pistons head coaching gig. And sure, that can mean a couple of things. It could mean he could just want to go back to New Orleans, where he's still one of the top assistant coaches there. Or it could possibly mean that maybe the Lakers maybe have enticed him and maybe they wants to be an assistant coach over for the Lakers. But those are a couple of other names that Redick can fill in the staff. But you can see the idea here is they're trying to get experienced people and experienced guys around JJ Redick to really help facilitate his vision and what he's trying to do. And then getting guys like names that you can trust can make it a lot easier, because if you go to a guy who's assistant coach and whatever he says goes, because you know that guy has been a head coach in this league and you know that guy knows what it takes to command the respect of guys in a locker room. So having that experience is just invaluable to have on multiple positions on your bench. And then we'll also see what some of the other skill development guys are going to be, because that seems to be another big thing of how the Lakers are wanting to build out this coaching staff. That's a big reason why we have guys, these young guys like Maxwell Lewis, Hood-Schifino, and now Bronny James, who are going to be in this young sort of like coaching tree, and hoping that they can build up these Laker players into possible rotation pieces and guys they can use in playoff situations. Like, that is the goal for some of these guys. But let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think of Redick and some of the names that he could be bringing onto staffs? Guys like Jacques Vaughn, guys like Dwayne Casey. Do you think these guys are good people the Lakers should bring on? And then also D'Angelo Russell. What do you think that he will do this offseason? Do you think he will opt out and then possibly just test the market and leave the Lakers? Or do you think he will opt in and then the Lakers could trade him or the Lakers will play out the season with D'Angelo Russell. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. I have been your host, Okechi Apakama, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.